Psychers within the ranks of the Space Marines are known as Librarians. We are familiar with the legendary tales of countless chief librarians whose gifts have turned the tides of war and who have shielded humanity from the predations of demons for centuries. But what a lot of us don't realize is that the majority of these psychic warriors only represent a small portion of the actual warrior mystics that exist within a Space Marine chapter. There are actually 4 ranks, each with their own duties and responsibilities that go far beyond just the field of battle. And with that said, I want to welcome you guys back to another 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about the ranks of the Librarians within a Space Marine chapter. If you guys are new to the channel, we post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. What I try to do in these 40 Facts videos is create a lore portion that is followed by a hobby portion, and then I respond to your guys' comments that you guys leave off in the previous video. So if you guys would like me to respond, just comment down in the comments section below. And if you like this type of content, hit the like button, tell your friends, and we do have a Patreon if you guys want to support us on there. It's just $1 a month. But with all that said, let's get into 40 Facts on the ranks of the Librarians. Within a Space Marine chapter, all Librarians hold a rank based on their level of training and their standing amongst their peers. In part, these ranks indicate their principal role, be it on the battlefield or in the Librarians, but they also are used to establish a clear chain of command from the Chief Librarian down to the lowest Lexicanum, which brings us to our first rank, the Lexicanum. He is a young librarian who has generally not seen any combat and is still learning to fully control and make use of his psychic powers. This is the lowest rank amongst the chapter's librarians, awarded to those who have passed their trials and who are now deemed fit to serve the chief librarian. Reporting to the codicers, it is the Lexicanum's role to aid in the endless task of maintaining, studying, and cataloging the vast amounts of text within the librarians. In times of conflict, however, Lexicani will eventually leave the librarians and take to the battlefield alongside their battle brothers, using their powers to smite their foes. In time and with training and study, a Lexicanum will eventually rise in rank and take on a more active role within the chapter as a codicer. As codicers, they are often given more significant combat assignments, able to harness their powers with greater clarity. Lexicani are often distinguished by their lack of a psychic hood and a helmet, and they usually appear very similar to their fellow non-psychic battle brothers, except for the blue power armor that all librarians must wear. Now we move on to the rank of codicer. They spend much of their time within the librarians. They are tasked with organizing and overseeing the efforts of the Lexicani while reporting to the higher-ranking librarians. By the time a librarian reaches the rank of a codicer, his command of his power is almost fully realized, and only the truly gifted will ever advance beyond this point. However, a codicer's power far outcasts almost any other kind of psyker within the Imperium, and their psychic abilities are more than sufficient for the chapter's purposes. These librarians have enough control over their psychic powers to go confidently into combat. Eventually, codicers will receive further training to become epistolaries, so that they can use multiple psychic powers in combat. They also usually do not wear a psychic hood to augment their abilities, but rather devices more useful than that of the Imperial Sanctioned Psyker counterparts who serve the ranks of the Astra Militarum. Now we move on to the rank of an epistolary. While most Space Marine librarians never rise above the rank of a codicer, a few continue to develop their gifts and grow in strength until they attain the rank of epistolary. Epistolaries fulfill 2 main roles for the chapter. Firstly, as a potent battle psyker who can combat the deadliest of foes, and secondly, a psychic communication officer for the chapter's fleet. In this role, they form the basis of the chapter's strategic command and control, directing fleets, coordinating mass planet drops, and providing vital intelligence during an invasion and an assault. Even on the battlefield, an epistolary can send and receive psychic messages. Epistolaries have more mastery over their psychic powers than others, which allows them to use their abilities more often in combat than a codicer or a Lexicani. Epistolaries do wear a psychic hood to augment their defensive abilities, they carry a force weapon into combat, and they also have access to the full armory of their chapter. And finally we get to the Chief Librarian. He is the strongest and most powerful psyker within the Space Marine chapter, who all other librarians of the chapter report to. They take instructions from him and respect him to the utmost. Few, if any, of the other psychers within the chapter will ever become a chief librarian. If there are no suitable candidates within a chapter, the position is often left vacant. So rare are these psychic lords that many chapters have but one or only a handful of psychers able to one day assume the responsibilities of these mighty warriors. The chief librarian is the master of the librarius and the keeper of the chapter's lore.
as well as a member of the Guilding Council of the chapter's senior officers with encyclopedic knowledge of the chapter, its enemies, and the Imperium. The Chief Librarian presides over the training and the selection of all new librarians, as well as the cultivation of the psychers within the chapter's ranks. He is also the closest of the chapter master's advisors, providing him with wisdom and knowledge. His ability to divine the future are vital to his lord's decisions. Chief Librarians very seldom take to the field of battle, as their abilities are far more valuable to the chapter in other ways. However, when they do take to the battle, it's a glorious and terrifying sight to behold. With that type of power, they can level entire fortresses, reduce entire armies to rivers of molten flesh, and split the very sky with fire and lightning. Chief Librarians will often command other forces to assist the chapter master in battle, and the final role of a Chief Librarian is to spend a great deal of time training his lesser librarian battle brothers in the dangers of the warp.
And that's the lore on the Librarians. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Now, before we get into answering the questions that you guys left off in last 40 Facts video, I did want to take this hobby portion to talk a little bit about something that I've always recommended that you guys do, but I never did myself. I have always complained that I cannot get projects done in time. Like, I always put myself to a task and then I never actually complete it. It usually ends up just going in like a box or something, and that painting project never gets done, or the terrain project never gets filled. So what I would say is, like, in order to combat that, you should have a specific spot for painting. That way, whenever you get home from work, you go directly to that spot and you paint. I've seen a lot of people on Instagram have a lot of luck with that. I had never actually done it, and I had told you guys that, you know, you should do it. Until now, I finally decided to rearrange my office space a little bit, and now what you see is, here is my computer and whatnot. And then the recording stuff that I use for the 40 Facts portions. And then I am going to turn you guys around and show you guys, hopefully you guys are going to be able to see, but right there is the little painting nook that I created for myself. So it's just the table where I used to have my old laptop on, and I have some Pharaoh boys or some Snakebite boys that I'm painting right now. So they're right there. They're right next to the window to the warp, so whenever I want to peer into the warp, I could simply just stretch my arm out and look outside. And then over here is just a long table that I can remove whenever I want to. But that is for terrain projects, because terrain projects need a lot more space. But yeah, I finally did it. Hopefully this encourages you guys to do that yourselves. And I wanted to share that with you guys. So expect more awesome painting tutorials and just more updates on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those places where I usually post painting projects that I've been working on or terrain projects that I've been working on. Now it's time to move on to the questions in the comments that you guys left off in the last 40 Facts video. 40 Facts and lore on the Novok Necron dynasty, the bloodthirsty Necrons. I really like that lore. It was fun writing that additional stuff. Check out that 40 Facts video if you haven't done so already. I'll put a link up above. But this comment comes from Elliot H. We Novok aren't bloodthirsty. We merely see the inner beauty of people, like in the arteries and the veins. Yep, that's why you splatter the blood on the walls and you try to do some really sadistic things with bodies. Speaking about sadistic, Imperator Somnium says Games Workshop is the most sadistic, and it got 20 likes. GW is going through a lot of bad times right now, a lot of bad publicity, I guess, because they once again are hurting the community by going after all of those awesome animators on YouTube and trying to put everything behind a paywall. It's a bummer, and I understand. Keep doing what you guys are doing, though. I guarantee you it is helping. People at GW are talking, so that's good. Next question comes from Doomslayer. Since 40K is based in one galaxy, do you think expanding into other other galaxies with new races, threats, etc. is a good idea. No, not really, just because I think the core factions that exist right now are good. Like, we could expand more on those core factions than actually venturing out to another galaxy. Plus, the Tyranids are bringing that galaxy to us, so I would really like to know more about the Orcs, the Eldar, the Tau, and what their future holds for them and what the past held for them, than I do any other galaxy, or even like the old ones, really. Which, if you guys want to get my thoughts on where the old ones are now, check out our 40 facts on where are the old ones. I'll put a link up above. It's an old video, but I still, like, to this day, I still think that is where the old ones are. This question comes from, "Hi, I'm vegan. Why is GW purging every content creator on YouTube? Don't they get that many get into the hobby through fan creations, and that they are effing up their fan base? They're targeting specific YouTubers, it's animators, and the reason for that is because they're launching Warhammer Plus, which is basically Warhammer Netflix or Hulu or whatever, because they're seeing the success of Disney. I mean, when Disney's pulling in all those numbers or all that money from like the the Cruella movie, and then the newest Black Widow movie, GW is probably like, ooh, we can profit off this, and in order to make sure that they do, is to kill off anything that might be free. Now, the argument is, well, that free content makes or creates an audience that wants more, and then they look to GW for like the good content, and they're willing to pay because they've gotten a taste from the free stuff, and they want the paid stuff. And the answer is, that's how I see it. GW didn't see it that way. GW has always been very, greedy. So it's not a surprise. It's just the way they run their business. I've seen a lot of comments saying Blizzard didn't do that, and they're very successful. And I agree. It's just a bad decision by GW's team. Next question comes from Zero Noctis. Are the Deathwatch Keepers left by themselves? Well, before I keep going, I'm pretty sure they're going to correct their stance, because last time there was such a backlash from this type of stuff. GW did become more community-based, so hopefully something is done. And I'm sorry if you guys, it's hard for you guys to hear. My throat is still kind of messed up from being sick. But Zero Noctis asks, are the Deathwatch Keepers left by themselves all the time in one-man fortresses? Could you elaborate a bit? I saw the vid recently and decided to make a Blade Guard veteran based on one who returns to his chapter. Deathwatch Keepers, if I remember correctly, not always. For the most part, they are manning one fortress. But no, like whenever kill teams come in, he's obviously with them. If the kill teams need assistance, the Keeper helps them, or it becomes a battle brother in that kill team, which is why you can play a Deathwatch Keeper. Yeah, good question. Next comment comes from Fox. As someone that does not play the game myself, creating lore sounds really fun. Yeah, it's there's actually a dude on YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram, who we follow, who I feel is amazing at creating lore. I'm not even sure if he even plays the tabletop, but he's such a fan. And I think we view some of his art even in this video. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I did find him, and he's linked in the art section of the description. His name is Orneris Terenci. He's a freelance artist of fantasy and sci-fi. Oh, he's from Spain. Cool. But yeah, like just scroll through his art station, and he creates the painting, and then he has like little lore that goes along with it. I'm pretty sure he takes commissions. He's phenomenal. So if you're not a player, you still want to write your lore and you want to put that out there, do something like this guy's doing.
It's awesome.
Next question comes from Warsmith Alaric. You guys are probably the one YouTubers I've seen that list where the art is from you use in your videos. Yeah, well, we've talked to a lot of artists throughout the years, and we try our best to promote them or just give them credit for what they did in the description below. There's just so many really awesome artists that GW has brought on, both old and new, so it's really good. This next question comes from Sylvia Winter. What are your thoughts on homebrew rule sets? I think reskinning things is really cool. So like, let's say if you create your own chapter master and then you just use Marnie's Calgar's stats, put them as yours, that's fine. When you start homebrewing your own, like you create a completely, let's say you create a Primarch and you don't use Gilliman, you don't use Mortarion, Fulgrim, or anything like, or not Fulgrim, but what's the name? Magnus the Red. Then I do have a little bit of a problem, just because like when you create your own rule set, you're probably going to be breaking the game. Also, another thing that I don't like when people do homebrew rule sets is that they expect to get the buffs that come with like regular armies. So don't expect that if you're homebrewing your own rule set, because like let's say you do even just reskin a regular chapter master or a named character, but he belongs to a certain chapter, maybe, and then you still expect to get the buff from like a different chapter. That's kind of annoying. It's kind of hard to explain, and I feel like if I keep going, my throat is just gonna kill me. So we'll just do one more question, and this is coming from Isaac Langdon. What is your plan B when GW comes for you? I don't think GW. By the time GW comes for us, I think my illness will get to me, and I'll probably be dead. No, I don't know. Probably an OnlyFans. That's probably it. But yeah, we'll see. At the end of the day, we're just reviewing stuff, so we'll see what happens. I really appreciate all of your guys' support, though, and it's awesome to see you guys support the other channels. Keep up the good work. Hope you guys are enjoying the content, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully better. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Oh, I used to put my freedom first.